What's the good word, Jets fans? It's your boy DKB here, and it just wouldn't be the New York Jets if we weren't discussing player malcontent, front office or head coach hires, or draft conversation. And today I have the player angle for you guys. So there's a little bit of a scare right now in the New York Jets fandom. Two of our core offensive members, I mean, almost quite literally the engine that, gets this offense running, the straw that stirs the drink, if you will. Garrett Wilson and Breece Hall both have potential trade requests that can be coming this offseason. They're both kind of handling it in different ways, right? On the Garrett Wilson spectrum, a lot of this is pre-recognition, if you will, in that a lot of people within his, inside camp, his inner circle, according to Rich Cimini, suggest that Wilson will be looking to demand a trade request this offseason. And the tough piece about it is he's handled everything tremendously, right? There's been a couple outbursts here and there, but this is a guy that's 100% passionate. He's 100% competitive through and through. And the fact that he's been able to back it up with quite literally the worst offenses in the NFL, particularly here going on a stretch of potentially having 3,000-yard seasons to start off his career. I think catching 80-plus balls in each of those 3 seasons. Nonetheless, last year and this year was supposed to be what really changed the trajectory for the New York Jets, and of course for a lot of these young guys that we've actually been able to draft and show the ability to get to perform at a high level for the New York Jets. So it is frustrating, right? This isn't like a Santonio Holmes flame out. This isn't, Brandon Marshall. This isn't any of those other previous receivers that we've had where there's been some diva aspects to it. Garrett Wilson he's always been about winning. He's always been about grinding and getting better. And since coming from Ohio State, he's gotten better, arguably. I wouldn't even say arguably, right? He's definitely gotten better. But even with some of the quirks in his game, and I look at the deep ball passing and stuff, still, he's elite. He's a tremendous, tremendous guy. And so to never have caused problems in New York, to have never been the cause for coaches leaving, being fired, requesting the heads for anybody, all he's demanded is excellence and going out on the field and winning. To come from Ohio State and to be essentially drowned in this losing atmosphere, right? And he's even gone on to the point of saying that we may have a losing gene. Those kind of feel like damning words, right? Those are some of the metaphors that you think about when people are quite literally on the last straw, right? So the only saving grace here in my mind is that if you can nail this GM and head coach combination, they have a conversation with these young stars. They sit them down and let them say, let's at least get through this offseason. See how my scheme is working. See how we plan on utilizing you. Buy into the vision. Trust me, we'll get this thing turned around with you at the helm. If they can't get that done, then we may be looking at a problem here, right? Because from the New York Jets perspective, we have him under contract until 2026, assuming that we go ahead and invoke his 5th-year option with him being a former first-round pick. So there's not going to be a ton of urgency from the New York Jets side, but at the same time, you don't have anybody else that you can lean on. The options behind him have been terrible, quite frankly. And so you don't really have a leg to stand on if you're the Jets. You can get put in the back corner by your guy not being on the field, causing problems in the media if it comes to that, taken away from what should be a refreshing offseason that has a clean slate ahead of it, right? Then you take a look at the Breece Hall angle. Breece Hall is both of these guys, I would argue, are quiet, but Breece Hall definitely embraces that a little bit more, leans into it, I would say. We have tweets from him, #free20, and it's concerning, right? At this point, these two guys aren't necessarily on the same playing field, right? I think if you look at the first couple years of both of these guys' careers, you would make the argument that Breece Hall did more with less potentially because, yes, Garrett Wilson has had historically poor passing, and he's putting up the kind of numbers that he is doing. But Breece Hall has also had historically low blocking from the offensive line. And when you take a look at metrics like yards before contact and different things of that nature, he's almost made all of the magic happen by himself more often than not. I'd probably say 90+% of the time. It's rare that he has just gaping holes or even just general holes where running backs of his caliber can make a lot of damage happen. So this year's been a struggle, right? You take a look at the first couple years of his career. I believe he only had 3 fumbles. Now you take a look at this year. He's already had 6. He's had another issue with the knee that he's already had repaired that's been lingering and causing some concerns, I would say, definitely amongst us. And now when you take a look at this tweet, you wonder, is he kind of riding the wave of Garrett Wilson and what could potentially happen there? Or is all of this losing starting to weigh on him as well? And if you are taking it from the angle that he's was really powering this engine and Garrett Wilson feeds off of that as well, then you wonder, why wouldn't we lean into Breece Hall more often than not? We've drafted him. We've called him a workhorse style running back over and over and over. And yet the distribution of carries, how efficient we are, how we've been able to put together this roster hasn't parlayed itself into using him to our advantage, right? And this is one of those guys that maybe he can last, 8, 9, 10 years in the league, but theoretically, and it's sad to say this, when you get a guy like Breece Hall or a Jahmyr Gibbs or a Bijan in them, you effectively want to really drive them into the ground during the rookie contract, squeeze all of the juice out of the lemon that you can. And I would say there's still a lot of pulp in the fruit when you look at Breece Hall. Obviously, you throw in a significant injury in there as well that takes some things away. And we could have screwed his career before we really even got a chance to see just how special he is. I mean, everything across the board is down for him. The rushing yards per carry, touchdowns, I'd imagine as well. That one I can't verify off the top of my head. But you look at his receiving numbers. And so all of that to say, this is going to be an important offseason once we finally do get our front office and head coaching positions in play, because they already have significant decisions. Aaron Rodgers, now you throw in trade speculation for Garrett Wilson, trade speculation for Breece Hall. And if it wasn't for the fact that we finally kind of have a strong offensive line unit in play, obviously there's some fine-tuning we can still do there, you will still call this a complete overhaul on the offense. So we'll see how they need to maneuver, but let me know where you guys are at with this. When you start, this isn't a situation that we're not accustomed to, right? We've had a couple stars here or there, or guys that have performed earlier in their career, like an Elijah Moore, and then seen things flame out extremely quickly. Would you immediately look to cut bait here, right? And you say, all right, if we're going to do the complete overhaul, let's do it. There's some blue chip type guys at the top of the first round in terms of wide receivers. Potentially, do you cut bait? Do you look to start over again? Do you try to get a trade haul for both of these guys potentially to help add to the war chest? I'm not quite there. I think you still make it work with these guys, because these are the kind of players that I think can help boost a culture shift, right? Once you get that head coach to really, from a 30,000 foot view, get things on the right foot, these are the guys in the locker room that you want that can really help seal the deal and hammer home that point of what the head coach is talking about. So I'll leave it there. Let me know what you guys think. I'll catch you again. Peace.